Hello everyone, my name is SteveTVOnline, and I'm going to be submitting new Super Lucky's Tale all main levels. And in this category, we are going to be collecting the minimum amount of pages as well while we are going through each one of the main levels in each one of the worlds. There are 5 worlds in total, and we have to beat each one of those bosses in between. And I'm going to be running on the digital version of the game, which saves quite a bit of time over the physical version of the game. And this game came out in November of 2019, and since then we've been finding tricks, skips, and movement-based stuff throughout the entire game. And so we'll start here the second that I hit A, in 3, 2, 1, go. So I'm going to be talking about the main movement in the game, and the main movement is going to be burrowing underneath the ground using your ZR button, as well as using the same burrow if there's on a solid surface that you can't burrow underneath. You're going to be sliding on the ground by hitting the ZR button. And then our main trick that we're going to be using throughout the game we call bonk hopping. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going to a wall, bonking with the ZR or using your burrow button, ZR button. Then you're going to be jumping and swiping, or swiping then jumping, whichever more comfortable for you. After that, that will reset your ability to bonk and repeat the trick over and over again, so it will allow you to infinitely climb up almost any single wall in the entire game. And we're going to be doing that in almost every single level. So right here is the story for the game. We'll watch that, and then I'll explain the first level when we get to it.
The dreaded kitty litter. We couldn't outrun him forever.
Lyra, stay behind me, Lucky.
Your little game of cat and fox is over, SwiftTail. There's nowhere left for you to run.
We prepared to make our last stand in my home world of Foxington. But just when all hope seemed lost, something strange happened. The book reacted violently to Jinx's magic. Whether it did so to defend itself or to protect us, its pages scattered wildly in the storm it unleashed. The portal it opened was violent and unstable, pulling Jinx and his kitty litter to somewhere far from Foxington. But it wasn't the kitty litter the book wanted.
Lyra, I'm slipping. Hold on, Lucky. I've got you.
Before the portal closed, it took my little brother Lucky as well.
Lucky, no!
Without the Guardian Sigil, my team can't travel between worlds. We've been stuck here ever since that day, waiting. I don't know where that portal took him, but I know that Lucky is still out there, somewhere within the book. My name is Lyra SwiftTail, and I'm the current head of what remains of the Guardian Order. But this isn't my story. This is Lucky's tale.
So, this first level here is called Heavy Heads, and what's normally going to happen here is you have to go up to the right and you have to ring a bell and to drop down a door, and doing both of that there will be a cutscene to ring the bell as well as the door dropping down, but we're not going to be doing that. Instead, we're going to be bonk hopping over the wall, so this is our first use of bonk hopping, and then we're going to be doing it a little bit more. We're going to be doing the level almost normally. We have to grab 3 heads, one down the middle, one on the left, and one on the right, and we're going to be bonk hopping up certain walls in order to speed that process up a little bit more. So here we go. Lucky is always going to say something before you start moving. So we're going to burrow over here, and we're going to go up here. This is our first form of bonk hopping in the game. And then we're going to go over this way and talk to the head, and then we're going to meet our first member of the kitty litter, which is Master Mittens. So here we go. We're going to skip past. We're gonna skip past all of his dialogue and jump over his head. We're holding forward as well as A at the same time there, so we'll jump right over his head. And we're gonna grab this head and we're going to set it into the pedestal. And he's gonna ring the bell, which will then allow for him to light up the chest of the golem here. So there we go. Then we're going to run ourselves over to the left over here. And we're going to bonk hop up top here, and we're going to go onto the bounce pad here and hit that. Normally what you have to do in order to get up there instead of bonk hopping is you have to go into a burrow hole, which will then allow for you to spawn another burrow up here and grab the head. However, in every category, including the no bonk hopping category, we never actually do that. So we're going to go over here and we are going to set that one in. Now, in this level, we are going to just be collecting only the last page, and throughout this, we have an optimized, almost an optimized route where we have to go and collect certain pages in order to continue on. But in this one, all we have to do is get the final page. Go. We're gonna grab that and jump down, then let's see. Okay, we're good. So the reason that I bounced off of his head is because obviously we move very slow when we have the head in our hands, so once we bounce off the worm's head there, it allows for us to get a little bit extra bounce. Now that we are done with all three of those, it's going to light up the golem's head and he's going to raise up a platform and spawn in the page. And that's the whole reason why we aren't able to do a death-defying leap into the clouds down there, because the page actually technically isn't spawned yet. So once this is all raised up and everything's good, this will allow for us to continue on to the next level. Slide up here. So the 4 ways that you can collect pages are by getting 300 coins, collecting LUCKY in each level, then LUCKY in each level, get a hidden page that's either like inside of a burrow hole but to play a mini game, or it's just hidden out in the middle of the open, and then there is getting the final page in each of the levels. And some levels we're going to be collecting all of them, some of them we're going to be collecting 2 of them, a couple levels we're going to be collecting 3 of the pages. But I will be telling you when we get to that. So the first thing that we're going to do is going to match to the text, and you're going to notice that it's a Japanese text, and that's for the same reason as every other game that plays on Japanese. It's because they use less characters for more words, and so less text boxes. So now the next thing, this is our first 2D level. In this level we're going to be collecting the hidden page as well as collecting the final level. So this is an area where a little bit of focus comes in, so this is where like a donation could be read. So here we go, we're going to hit these switches right here. And this is going to open up our hidden page area. So in this one, you have to collect all the coins in the time frame. There we go. And then we grab our page and we can finish up the level. Then once we slide up here, we're going to open up for the golem here. And turn around and grab the page. So that's the first of many horizontal 2D levels. Most of them are horizontal except for one that we're going to be doing later on. So now that we are done with that level, we are going to go into our next level, which is Go Fetch. And this level has changed up a little bit from the original game that came out about 2 years prior to this one. But before we get into that level, we are going to be going a different route here. We're going to be taking a wide left out of here for the sole purpose of there is a guy out here, a golem, that wants to try and sell us costumes. And he has a dialogue box to stop us to listen to him, and we want to skip that by going out wide. So this first skip that we're going to be doing in here is called Head Skip or Giovanni Skip, and this was actually carried over from the original game, and it was found by somebody who doesn't even speedrun the game. Normally what you have to do is you have to take that golem head there and you have to drop down below and dodge fireballs and wait for platforms to raise up and turn around so you can get up to each one of the levels. However, we're going to be taking a different path here and then leaving him behind. So right here, we're going to roll over to him, grab him up, then run all the way over here, go way over here, jump up, grab the head, raise the elevator. This elevator will not raise up unless you have Giovanni. So now we're going to go over here, and we're just going to run to the very end here. Because who actually needs somebody to help? So right here, this is our bonk hopping wall. This wall can be very fidgety. I got lucky. So right here, we're going to be bonk hopping up this wall and over to the left-hand side for the sole purpose of we're skipping a cutscene here that's by meeting a guy, a Spark, or a flame named Sparky, who doesn't like furry things. He wants to burn furry things. So we skip around that dialogue box completely, and then we bonk hop up this wall, which normally we would need Giovanni for, but since the platform raises up and we can just bonk hop over that, then it saves us plenty of time to bring instead of bringing Giovanni all the way up here. So now we're going on to the third level, where normally what you have to do is you have to go up a couple of layers here, and in those, then you're supposed to go over a bridge that will allow for another bridge to raise up for us to go across. However, if you just go up to the second level, double jump, then tail swipe, and then dive, you'll get to there. And then we're going to go right here, land on the very edge of that bridge, and then jump around a cutscene that has the golem from Heavy Heads come in and slam his hand down and shrink Sparky down. And then we grab the page and finish up the level. Now that we're done with that level, you're going to say, hey, you still have 4 more pages that you have to collect. Where are you going to get them? Well, this next level that we're going to be going into is actually an auto-running level, auto-scrolling level, you could say, and we'll get to see Sparky right here. That's what Sparky looks like now. He helps out Giovanni, who's selling costumes. But this auto-scroller, we're going to be collecting all pages, and I explained what all 4 of the pages are earlier. And one thing I didn't explain is the coin values. The coin values are the small coins equal out to 1 coin. The bigger coins are worth 10. The pink small gems are worth 25, and the large blue gems are worth 50. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to just go through here, and this is a perfect time for donations to be read, as long as I don't miss any of the stuff here. It's fine. You can grab this as our backup. Then we're going to bounce over here. Get our C, get on here, bounce up here so we can get our hidden page. One thing I also didn't explain is that each one of the enemies gets you 3 coins, so sometimes you can use them for backups if you really necessarily need them. We try and not go over 300 as much as possible because it actually has to count up to the coins, the amount of coins that you've collected throughout the game. Or through the level. There we go. Now that we're done with that level, we are going to be going into our next one, which is the boss fight. And the boss fights in in this game we like to call auto-scrollers without actually being auto-scrollers, because most of them there is no way of actually speeding them up except for one small trick near the end of most of the levels. So there we go, all the pages are collected and it's unlocked. Now we just have to actually walk up there where the mailman talked to him, and we'll be able to open up the door and walk into the boss. There we go. Mailman's done, and then the book. And this is where a donation to be read is just going into the boss and him talking. So this would be another good time for a donation to be read. So right here, we're going to have our we're going to have to hit these heads out of here, and they will always be in the same spot. So as long as you know where you have to run, it will speed up the process. So then we're going to grab these coins for no reason whatsoever. They do absolutely nothing for us. And then we're going to bonk hop up the wall right here. Then stand right here, and there are 3 ways of actually dodging these. The first one is to burrow underneath the ground. Since there's grass there, you can burrow underneath them. You can dodge them like a normal person, or since we have the bonk hopping, we can actually just jump up there like we did. So now we're going to jump down, and we're going to stand right in this spot specifically for 2 purposes. The first reason is for he sends the head down and we hit that right away. And then the second reason is these jumping fireballs that are right here. If you're standing right in this spot specifically, they will not be able to hit you. That was actually carried over from the original game. The stage is a little bit different, but the purpose is exactly the same. So now we're going to stand right here again, just wait for these to jump over our heads, and then we're going to get the final phase, which is right, middle, right. And then we have one small trick at the very end that we can do. Okay, I got it. So what we did there is we jumped up and we tail swiped Mittens when he was in the middle of his falling animation. Doing that allows for him to fall faster out of the way. And it saves about a second or a second and a half. And you can do some funny things with that. Like if you're falling with him, if you miss him on the first swipe, you can actually hit him when he's on his way falling down, and it will pop him back up to where he started in the falling animation, and it will spawn Lucky very, very close to him, like face to face. And I love doing that. So now we're going into our second world, Veggie Village, and we get to meet our second member of the kitty litter, and they're actually my favorite member of the kitty litter. Her name is Tess. She's a scientist, and I'm one of the few people in the community that actually loves Tess. She's my favorite. So we're gonna talk to Tess, and we're going to meet the residents of Veggie Village, then go to our first. We're gonna go into our first world of this. First level of this world, which is Egg Roll. And Egg Roll is actually one of the shorter levels in this entire run here. There we go over here, and then we're going to head into Egg Roll. Now, this level has giant chickens and eggs that we're supposed to shrink because Tess made them big with helmets that she put on them. But the developers, Playful Corporation, who are actually very supportive of the speedrunning community, have actually put on a hitbox around these chickens and eggs, so we're actually able to bonk hop around them entirely and skip having to shrink all but one of the chickens. So there's our giant chickens. Look at all those chickens. And we're gonna go this way. And the reason that I don't dive down into the ground there is because it actually slows it down. As you've seen some of our diving, we actually get a pausing animation, which originally wasn't there in the original game. So we're gonna bonk hop there, and get around. You can actually skip these first 2 chickens as well in the no bonk hopping category. And then we're going to go over this way, and we're going to, so we skipped the first 2 chickens. Now we're going to go over here, and we are going to jump up this hay bale there, and we're going to hit that switch, which will shrink the only chicken that we need to. We technically need to, because otherwise the page will not pop out right there. So now we're going to go over here, and we're going to go up here and head into our burrow hole and get our hidden page that we have to get in this level. And in this hidden page is actually a little bit of a mini game where we have to get all of our bouncing out of the way. There we go. Then we're going to roll over here and get out of here. So you might have saw when I was bouncing off the hay stack, you saw a little bit of a lag. That wasn't the recording, that's actually in part of the game. It's just something that we have to deal with inside of the game. It likes to do that to us sometimes. And now that we've gone out of the burrow hole, finished that, we're going to pop out of another burrow hole and go right into a dialogue box here with tests, which we have to take. And normally we would hit this in order and fight enemies, and defeating those enemies would allow for us to get a bounce pad up to the top of the hay bales, but we obviously didn't need it because of bonk hopping. And now we're collecting the page and finishing up this first level of Veggie Village. So now that we've done that, we have our next 2D level of the game, and that next 2D level is Piggy Peril. I struggle with Piggy Peril a little bit. In this one we have to collect the 300 coins in the hidden page. But Piggy Peril can be a little bit difficult if you don't hit the cycles. This level is really cycle-based, and they add in new aspects to the game, which are conveyor belts. And obviously with our sliding in this game, we're able to hit the conveyor belts and go super fast, which we want. So here we go. This is a good time for donations to be read because I have to focus on this level. That was good. So that trick right there is really difficult. You have to make sure that you're hitting the right. There's a platform down there on the very bottom that you want to make sure that you hit. Otherwise, you'll just fall out of bounds there. Perfect cycle. And we are now done with Piggy Peril. That was a lot of practice to get that down exactly like that. And now that we are done with Piggy Peril, we are going to go over to one of my favorite levels, and that is Pungent Paths. Pungent Paths, what normally happens in it is you have to collect... Well, it's still happening. But what we have to do is we have to go and collect 6 rabbits that are in it, and if you're playing it in American or your native language, you're going to see that they talk about being a peasant, and you think that, oh, well, it's probably the King Rabbit that's calling us peasant because he starts it off. No, we find out that there's actually one of the bunnies that we have to save that has decided to call us peasant, and we brought it upon ourselves to name this rabbit Barry, so when we get to it, we in the community like to say screw you Barry, so I will count it down and we'll be able to say that. So we're gonna bonk hop over this instead of talking to the King Rabbit there in his long dialogue box. Then we're going to be taking a riskier strat here. We're gonna bonk hop up there, then we're gonna grab him, and then we're gonna head right over to Barry. Three, two, one. Screw you, Barry. So the next, in two rabbits here, we're going to run into another rabbit that we named. And we named him EC, or Existential Crisis. The reason is, if you listen to his regular dialogue when you play it casually, you'll find out that his dialogue box, which is actually the longest in the game, is complaining about his wife and his kids and his life. So we just like to say, "Shut up, EC." There we go, we're done with the dialogue box, and we're going to head over and grab our last two rabbits that we need. Alrighty. So, as you can kind of tell, the bonk hopping isn't normally supposed to happen because of the spikes, but if you do everything carefully enough, you're able to bonk hop any single wall in here and get to places a little bit faster. And now we have one more to finish it off. There we go. Now, in the original game, the Onion King here is actually the villain, but this time he is good and he's the one that's giving us the page. So as you notice, when I was getting over here, I actually went wide around stuff. That is because we are still trying to skip around Giovanni and Sparky with trying to sell us costumes. So our next level here is called Ripe Rollers, and Ripe Rollers can be very difficult as well, and it has a lot of coin manipulation that you have to worry about. Not coin manipulation, but coin counting that you have to worry about. So we're going to be getting the 300 coins in here, and everything that I'm going to be doing is on purpose. Because once we get to the very end of this level, there's actually a way to get ourselves an extra 100 coins. There we go, we're gonna go down here, then jump up here, grab that, and get back. So normally this is used to get one of the letters there, but we're just going to skip past that completely. I didn't get a cycle here, which is unfortunate. So what I did there is normally you have to go very slow there and wait behind the spiked balls there. However, if you just do a dive there, yeah, if you do a dive there, it allows for you to go through it and get to the end a little bit faster. And there we go. We are done with the level. That was actually a little bit faster. Now that we've done that and got our 300 coins, we have 2 more pages that we're going to have to collect in order to get to my girl Tess. And that is going to be in Harvest Fest. And Harvest Fest is actually probably the community's favorite level. And this is also the longest level in the entire game. But there's one reason and one reason only that everybody in the community likes this level, and you'll see that at the very end. So what we have to do in this level is there is 3 members of the Soggy Boggy Boys band that are missing, and we have to do certain things in order to get them. We have to talk to the sheriff, and he'll open up the door to the right, then left, middle, and then we'll get them all. But however, because of our bonk hopping ability, we're actually going to sequence break the game, and we're going to go get the 3rd worm, the 2nd worm, the 1st worm, and doing this will allow for a major sequence break in the game to be able to get the worms much faster than intended. But before we do any of that, we actually have to go forward and we have to grab ourselves the hidden page. So we go up here, and we're going to grab all of these. Cool. Now that we have our hidden page, we can go do the normal, like, not normal, but speedrun normal. So there's our sheriff that we'd had to talk to, and it takes time to talk to him, and a cutscene happening for the door opening up on the right there. However, with bonk hopping, we just jump over that way, and we have now completely went from the 1st worm to the 3rd worm, having to do the 3rd worm. We're going to grab this key, and we have to go and take him up to the top. We're going to drop the key right there, burrow into the ground, and jump up, which will allow for us to hit the switch as well as jump up on top. Now you're saying, well, why, if you have to climb all the way up to the top, why don't you just bonk hop up and talk to the worm? Well, the problem with that is we aren't able to do that. If we go up to the top, the game just won't continue on. Ooh, that was weird. That was not good. I've never seen that before. Alright. So now we're going to hit over there. We're going to grab up the key, drop it right there, turn back around, pick up the key again, drop it down there, drop down, and hit that. And we're going to go back up to the top, and we're going to hit our final area right here. So that's how the key level is done normally. Or the 3rd worm is done normally. He's going to talk to us and then disappear. And then we're going to go over here, and we're going to go to worm number 2. So worm number 2 is, this is the only worm name that we know, and his name is Veggie. This is actually a member of the community. This is actually his favorite worm, and that's how we found out the name. But right here, Veggie wants us to collect 7 fireflies, and those 7 fireflies will be the route that we're going to be taking is the route that I found, because I kept on not remembering where all the fireflies were, so I just decided I'm going to make a route. And with this route, we actually have a death warp, and it's the first death warp that we're going to be using in the game. And that death warp was actually found by me as well, but that one was found by accident. So here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to land on that dock and not touch any other docks or hover over that bottom dock. The sole purpose is once we fall into the water right here after grabbing that one, it's going to teleport us back to this location, and we're going to be able to continue and go get our last worm instead of having to go down below. There we go. We got our 7th Firefly now, and we're going to slide off and we're going to head towards Veggie, who is going to be very happy that we collect 7 Fireflies for him, and he's going to do a little performance for us. And you're going to notice in the background of this performance, they're going to have the 3rd worm just staring off into the distance. It's because he's not even supposed to be there. So, now that we've done all this in our path, and we've gone out of order here, normally we're supposed to go to 1, but since we've done both 3 and 2, normally this section to get worm number 1 is a whole stealth section with not getting caught by jumping out of the ground and only burrowing, and then you'll get up to the top where this worm is and free him. But since the game is like, oh, you've done 3 and 2, you must have done 1, they already had the burrow hole for us at the very beginning, which allows for us to jump into it, go burrow hole out, and get the Soggy Boggy Boys out. So now that we have those 2 worms, it's going to pop back up to worm number 3 and say, hey, you've saved me. I'm going to go perform now. And now that we have all 3 worms, we're going to do first see both of the sheriffs here, and then the Soggy Boggy Boys are going to perform, and it's probably the greatest country music you'll ever hear, so enjoy. There we go. Now that the Soggy Boggy Boys are done and everybody's happy, including the sheriff, we're going to go talk to him for the only time that we need to, because he's going to say, hey, thanks for finding everybody, and here's your reward, and that's our last page that we need for this world. There we go. So now that we are done with that, we are going to go into our test fight, or my girl. And with this fight, we can speed up just slightly some of the things, and there's a little trick at the end that hopefully we'll be able to get to work to speed it up even more. So this fight really didn't change at all from the original game to this one. What you have to do in this boss fight is you have to go and you have to hit switches. The test is going to be on a giant robotic bug, and you have to hit switches that will cause electricity to flow and hit the giant bug, and we'll be doing that 3 times. But I'm going to be showing a little trick as to first what's going to happen is the giant bug is going to come at you and slam his hand down. You're going to have to dodge that, but if you stand in a specific area in here that actually got carried over from the original game, if you stand in a specific spot, you will never beat that. So we're going to go right over here and stand right in this specific spot. If you stand on any part of the wooden area inside of here, you'll be able to dodge his attacks there, but the reason that I stood right there is because, as you saw, that's where the first hits is going to spawn. Now this next area right here is going to be bees. And one thing I failed to mention throughout this entire run is Lucky actually has a lock-on mechanism with his dives. And sometimes it can hurt you, and sometimes most of the time it's good for us, and we're going to be using it to our advantage quite a bit throughout this entire run, and that's one of them. So then we're going to go and grab all these, jump so we don't get hit by the lasers, and then we're going to get last one right there. That's wave number 2 done after the leaves, and then we have one more wave to do. And now there's going to be 2 switches that pop up. As long as you're standing right here, you'll be able to hit both of those switches, and then we're going to run back here, we're going to hit that switch, and then roll over and grab the last 3 here, and if I do this correctly, I should be able to, yep, there we go. So what I did there is I rolled away as fast as possible from the switches. That caused them to fall faster than normal, and if we fall into the water there, it will completely skip out of... It will completely finish up the cutscene a lot faster than would normally happen. There we go. Now that we're done with Veggie Village, we're going into the 3rd level, which is Restful Retreat. And Restful Retreat has one of the hardest tricks in it. Actually, a couple of hard tricks in it. It's actually the hardest world to begin with. But the theme of this one is wrestling themed, brother. And we're going to meet our next tag team boss, which is General Buttons and Lieutenant Fluff and stuff. And the first level we're going to be going into is Eightfold Path, and it has a skip in it called B-Skip. And what normally has to happen in Eightfold Path is you have to help the Yetis destroy 3 fire beetles inside of the game, and doing that will allow for the Yetis to raise a platform out of the ground, and you're able to continue on, go across the level, and go that way. However, the bees that you've seen me fight, they actually have a mechanism that we haven't shown yet, where they will shoot stingers at you that will hurt you, but you can also jump off of those stingers. So what we're going to do is we're going to manipulate a bee to shoot its stinger facing the right direction, so we can do a jump, swipe, then dive onto the stinger with the lock on, and this will allow for us to get over to the other side and saving about 20 to 30 seconds overall, having to fight the beetles and the bridge. So here's the Yetis that we have to talk to, and there is the fire beetles that we normally have to fight. Cool. We'll take that. So because of that B-skip, it actually is one of the fastest levels in the entire run. So now that we ring the bell, they fly away from us, and we can just roll backwards, and we will hit the page as it spawns in, and we'll be able to finish the level. So that's one of the levels that I really focus on, so it could have a donation really red right there. So now we go to from one of the hardest skips to one of the hardest levels, and everybody in the community will agree that this is one of the hardest levels. We're going into another 2D level, and this 2D level is not a normal or another normal 2D level. This is a vertical 2D level instead of horizontal. So we're gonna go over here and we're gonna go in, and you will, since this is a 2D level, it's vertical. That means that if you miss cycles or if you fall, then it's very time consuming and wasting. But besides having to hit cycles in this level, we also have to go and we have to gets the hidden page in this level, which isn't that hard per se, but getting out of it is. So this is where a bunch of donations can be read again, because it's just a lot of climbing. I'm hoping for good RNG here. So we're coming up on our hidden page here. There we go. Now we're out of that, and we're going to finish up everything. Okay, good. Alright, so now we're coming up on another small trick, if I do it correctly, that I came up with, that I'm very excited about. So normally what you have to do here is you have to go and you have to bounce up all of these areas. But if you just tail swipe at that specific one right there, you'll be able to skip quite a few of going back and forth and stuff like that. So this is the end of the level. That was actually pretty solid. And then we finish the level. So our next level that we're going to be going into is going from one 2D level into another one. But this next 2D level is actually our a regular horizontal level, and it's actually one of my favorite levels. There's also a skip in here that I found by accident, once again, because I'm not the greatest sometimes. So once again, we're going to just go around Giovanni and Sparky right there, and we're going to go over here, just skip having to go around all the way. And then we're going to try and hit an early cycle here. Hopefully. So we're going to go right here, we're going to double jump, and then we're going to swipe, and we made it. So losing the health there was totally worth it. If you were able to hit that cycle, it helps out quite a bit. Then we're going to be hitting only the hidden page in this area, which is right down here. This is a maze. Normally what you have to do here is you have to go and you have to get all the coins, but if you tail swipe, it allows for you to actually grab the coins next to you as well as underneath you. Like this, we're able to grab the ones underneath and then we can fall down. We're gonna jump up there because Lucky doesn't go far enough. And it's just getting to the end of the level at this point. Alright, and now we're heading on to the skip that I found by accident. So what you normally have to do here is you have to wait for the melon to come down, fall down, get spiked, and then get chopped in half. However, if you just go right there, up above it, you can actually force you up above an invisible barrier that's right there. And you're able to, you can either bonk hop over that, or you can do a double jump and tail swipe and you'll get over as well. It's very easy. And now after that, we just have to stand on the rolling melon here all the way to the end. Alright. almost done here. Oops, that's fine. I got hit by that, and we'll just go over here and finish up. And that is Melon Madness. So the next level we're going to be going into is Peaceful Place, and Peaceful Place is anything but peaceful. It has a lot of spikes and traps that we can get hit by, and we also have a little bit harder trick that we have to do. This trick is called skull hopping or skull bonking, whatever you want to call it, and normally what you have to do is once you get to a certain area in the game, you have to go right and left to hit switches to open up a rib cage for you to enter and continue on through the level. However, with our bonk hopping ability, we're going to be bonk hopping on a torch, jumping all the way up and bonking over the skull completely and saving about 30-40 seconds of having to go back and forth, hitting switch, waiting for cutscenes, and then going through. And I also have a little pattern that I do here at the very beginning, and if I do it correctly, I shouldn't have any troubles. So let's hope for this. So this is showing the whole level, and right there is our ribcage that would normally open up, but it's also the skull that we're going to be jumping over. So let's see if I do this. We're going to burrow, fall out, slide, jump, double jump, slide, double jump, go over here, and then we're going to slide on that, jump, go all the way over here, and we made that. Then dive onto that up here, double jump, fall, slide, dive. Alright. So we completed the first area. We're going to go in here. So as you can see, we missed one of the cycles, but we got lucky and hit it at the very end there. So right here is where we're going to skull bonk. I'm going to try and be quiet because I have to focus. I saved it. So there we go, we saved a ton of time, and now we're going to go into a wave of enemies here. What you have to do is you have to defeat 3 waves of enemies. The first wave being the easiest enemies, which are the worms. The second wave is going to be bees, and the third wave is going to be bomb cats. And when we get into the bomb cat wave, we're actually going to be doing a camera manipulation to actually kill the bomb cats without having to actually fight them. So if we turn that camera angle right there, for some odd reason it kills off the enemies, and we don't know why. It was found by accident by another runner of the game, which is King. And so we finish off the level completely, and we are finishing that. Here we go. Alright, now you're going to say, once again, you'll have 4 left. What are you going to do to get your 4? And our 4 left that we have to get are actually in another one of the auto-scrolling levels. It's the second to the last auto-scrolling level that we have to hit. So this is another area where donations could be read, but you'll see inside of this area, we're going to be having a new gimmick that's added on. Since we saw them in the second world, we're going to be adding in conveyor belts into this one, so we're going to be able to speed quite a bit in this boss or in this level, as well as hitting. We're going to hit almost every single switch that we come upon, and that will allow for us to speed through the level as well. So with the switches that we hit, it's done in almost every single category. For the sole purpose of it, that's the only way we can get a lot of our letters as well as get extra coins. So here we go, we're going to go up top. We missed 1 coin, but we're not going to have to worry about that. So right here is C. If you miss that, then something has gone awry. Slide down here. Hit the switch, slide, so we can get our hidden page. Go go up here, and then we're gonna hit that switch, grab the K, hit that switch, get out of here, hit that switch to get our Y, and then we're missing coins here. However, if we just jump across all of these, we're able to get all the coins that we need and finish up. This is the only solid ground in the entire game where we're actually able to burrow underneath it. So that was really good. We finished that up, and now that we have all of our pages, we can head into the buttons and fluff and stuff fight. And this fight is actually where some of our RNG comes into play. I'll explain it when we get into the fights, but heading over to there, this is actually where one donation could be read, and then after that I have some explaining that I want to do with the fight, as well as a little message from the level creators and developers of the game. So, since we've done most of this level, we're actually just over the halfway mark of completing this game. And we're going to see buttons and fluff on the sea to start off with. So this fight consists of three phases, but there's like 4 or 5 parts of each one of the phases. So I'll explain the first wave, and the other waves will follow up with almost the exact same thing. So this first part here, we're going to stay up here, and we're going to dodge all of Fluff and Stuff's attacks. I like to stay up front just to say that it saves time, because he's supposed to do shit, but in reality it actually does nothing for him. Then the second part is us going, and we're going to dodge the fireballs, but you know what we do with fireballs in boss fights. We actually are just going to bonk hop our way up here and wait for these. I love watching Lucky right here, because he just watches all the fireballs down below him. So we're going to go over here, back over this way, and we're going to get our RNG, which are these bombs. We want them to fall up into the front, that's good. They can also fall to the very back, and it's very rare, but they will land on the wooden part. So this last set is killing these bomb cats. Normally what you have to do for these bomb cats, since you haven't really seen their actual attack, normally what has to happen is you have to wait for them to... hit or throw a bomb down below them, and then you're able to hit the bomb back to them to kill them. Alright, so now we have a message from the level creator. L-U-C-K Lucky. Oh, that's nice. Lucky what? Lucky smart? Lucky smells good, right? He smells good? Oh, he just smells. So anyway, the story behind that is one of the level creators of this game wanted that in the original game. However, there's only like a 1 to like 3% chance of it actually showing up on this fight, so they decided to make it an official fire pattern in this one. So you saw I got hurt by Fluff and Stuff there. If you hit the enemies in here, the bomb cats, you will get all your health back. And one more jump, there we go. And then we are just going to do our bonk hop up this one more time to finish it off. One thing about doing the bonk hop of this is after this phase is the the bomb phase, and if you're too long to do that, bonking over it, the bombs will shoot way up into the air and then fall down, so you have to wait for it, wasting time. And it's just because you're over where you're not supposed to be. There we go. And I got really good RNG with all 3 of the bombs falling into the front. That is very rare for that to actually happen. So that saved 2 to 4 seconds with those being up in the front. Alright, now that we've finished that up, we're gonna go on to the next level, which is next world, which is Gilly Island. And Gilly Island originally was a DLC level inside of the original game, but in this one they decided to make it part of the story line and make it an official level instead of it just being out of nowhere. And doing this, putting it into the main story, allowed for us to get our next member of the kitty litter, which happens to be Lady Meowmalade right here, who is all for herself and fashion friendly and famous, always wants to be famous. This is a community favorite. Besides me, I'm not a big fan of hers because her boss fights is not fun. Alright. So I don't know if I mentioned it throughout this run, but we have, in this first level, we have our first surprise guest. In this level, we have to destroy 6 set of speakers, as well as getting the hidden page in this run here. And we're going to be taking a different path because there's another death warp here, as well as another secret, or another skip we have to do. So if you've ever played Octodad Dadliest Catch and wondered what happened to him, he showed up right here in the new Super Lucky's Tale. So we're gonna, they're gonna talk about the stereos and how she hypnotized them. And this is actually the shortest world in the entire game because there's actually only 3 main levels in this area. So we're gonna go up here and we're gonna set up our death warp. What we have to do up here is we have to, there's our setup. We got that checkpoint. So now we're going to go over here, and there's no way of actually skipping that cutscene, so we're going to go up here. And then we're going to bonk hop up here, which can be very fidgety, as well as hitting these speakers like that, as I say it. And then we're going to back up, and we're going to do a dive bomb onto another set, which is way back in the back, to hit another one of the speakers and free somebody else. But then after we do that, if I do this correctly, and okay, that was a good spot for the lag to happen, because you can lag down here and mess up. As long as that you do not step over the other area there, you are able to completely skip backtracking by, now that we haven't gone off, we're going to fall into the water here, and we're going to spawn right back up here, and we're going to head down to the next set of speakers. There we go. We got our speakers. And then we're going to go down here and head back to the way we started off at. And we're going to go get ourselves our hidden page. I believe. Yep, hidden page. Now this hidden page is very difficult for me for some reason. I don't know why I struggle with it, but it's a timed one and we have to go on all these floaties here. I don't know where the ones are that are left. There we go. I did not fall into the water, so we saved a little bit of time, but it was very slow because I struggled with this one. As you can see, I was landing on the hands of them and stuff like that. But anyway, now that we have done that, we are going to go and we are going to get our last 3 sets of speakers. But when we do that, we're going to run, well, hopefully, we are going to, you saw the Octodad, and if we do everything correctly, we will not be seeing Octodad again. And I will show that off in just a minute here. But first, we have to go this way, and we have to go back up top again. By hitting that, jump up here, and we're gonna head over here, and in order to free the speaker, we have to grab this cooler right here, which is heavy for some reason, and then we're gonna bring it over here, not get stuck on the side there, and it's going to lower down for us so we can go over there and grab the speaker. Now this next skip that we have is called Octodad skip. What normally is going to happen is the Octodad is lost to his children. Yes, he's a bad parent, and we have to go and find them from him instead of him finding them. And we're going to jump around here, dive down. This has now officially skipped past the dialogue box with talking to him. Then we're going to do a slide, double jump, and then jump over there. This will allow for us to completely skip having to find all 3 of the children, and him talking to us again, him spawning 3 floaties, and then we were able to jump on. But doing what we did there, we were just able to skip all that completely. Alright, talk to these guys, and we are done with that level. We're gonna get that done, and then we're gonna go into Trapped in Paradise. Now there's a funny story about Trapped in Paradise here, that we have a category in this game called No Bonk Hop, and I'm one of the few people that has actually run that category. And doing that category, I wanted to try and get past Trapped in Paradise a lot faster. So I found a route that I can do with no bonk hopping. And taking that no bonk hopping category, I was able to transfer it over to the regular categories and make it a lot faster. And this route makes it super fast. So what you have to do in here is you have to raise 5 umbrellas, and normally you have to hit switches, red and blue, to lower and turn platforms, but with bonk hopping we're actually able to bounce over all of them. And even if you're not in a no bonk hop category, you're able to get over these walls by hopping over them carefully. So we're gonna go over here, and we're gonna knock off everything off of that table there, and then we're gonna go over here, go down here, hit that first one, get the second one that's right over here. And normally you have to burrow underneath the ground in order to get places, but as you saw right there, I was able to just dive underneath. If I do this carefully, there we go, that was really good. And then we're going to talk to the sheriff. Then we're going to get over here. We're going to actually jump up in the air and grab this one, so it gives us the bounce. Oops. And we're going to go over here. And we're going to get to our last one, which is right over here. And we have now officially freed everybody from the heat. So as you can see from the cutscene, that worm behind us, his tongue is actually in his neck, it's not in his body for some reason. I laugh. Alright, now that we've done that, we are going to go into 3 cannon salute, and we're going to get both the hidden page as well as our 300 coins. This is the fastest thing that we can do. But the 300 coins, even if you're not trying for it, is very easy to get 300 coins. So that's not the hard part. The longest part is not. There's a way to do a camera glitch in here that requires a death for you to do. So we're going to jump over Lady Meowmalade, and we're going to go over here, the 3 cannon salute, and we're going to have an appearance by somebody we thought was gone in this level, and that is Buttons and Fluff and Stuff. They're mad that we sunk their ship, so they're going to come back with a vengeance this time and start shooting more cannons at us. So this whole level is us running away from the cannons while also going through the entire level. We're going to talk to Meowmalade first. So as you can see, I'm not even trying. Now we're going to go right down here and we're going to swing our tail there, and that will allow for us to grab that 50 gem. Normally what you have to do is you have to wait for the cannons, the cannonballs to come down and destroy the barrels that those are on. However, you can just completely skip that by doing what I did there. So what I'm doing here is called Cabana Skip. Normally you have to wait for the cannonball to come down, and you have to you have to wait for the cannon to go, and you have to go underneath the canopy, which is very long and tedious. So if you do this, if you do that, you're just going over it and saving quite a bit of time. So now that we're done with that, we're going to go in and we're going to get our hidden page, which is right in here. There's our hidden page. And go down here. Now you see, I'm not even trying for the 300, and I just got my 300. So we are now good to go on to the final area right here, which is with Mittens or Buttons and Fluff and Stuff. So they have 3 barrels on their ship. We're going to make them sink their own ship by getting cannonballs to hit that area. We didn't get it. That's fine. So we're going to roll off here, then we're going to talk to Lady Meowmalade, and we're going to go over here and grab our page. So now we have officially gotten all the pages inside of this world, and because of that, we can go and fight Lady Meowmalade. And heading over there, this is another area where, once again, donation could be read.
Cha-cha!
Alright, so this boss has a little bit of RNG involved with it, and you'll see right at the beginning here. But first we have to listen to her sing. Her music completely stops and she thinks that it's Lucky's fault, I believe. I don't know why she gets mad, honestly, to be completely honest. And then right here, what's going to happen is this blue square will be hopping around, and you have to make sure that you land on the square before it changes over, because those pink squares will actually become lightning, as you can see, and if you land on them, then you will lose one of your hearts. Alright, and now this part with the lasers is actually not random. These 4 lasers will always go in the same area, so you know where to stand. If you stand right here, you won't get hit. Then you go up here, stand right here, and you will not get hit. And finally, we're going to just follow it around, and we will be able to get our first hits on Lady Meowblade. Right here. Hit her 3 times. And now we wait for that. And as you can see, it's getting smaller and smaller each time. And it will be down to just 1 near the end. Now this is one thing I like to point out, they make me laugh every time. These bees are actually dancing and shooting out their stingers while they dance. We're going to get them again later on, as well as a couple of golems. And we have one more set right here. So now instead of just throwing out lasers for us, we actually have to worry about where the blue area is going to be as well. Which is very hard sometimes. Alright, now we're down to the last one where we have to land on a 1 square here, and then we get to see the dancing golems and bees again. So one thing you can do in this fight, I don't like to do it because I always mess it up, is you can actually bonk hop that whole area, that fight right there, but there is actually a death plane up above that area, above the crystal ball there, that can kill you instantly. So I don't trust myself with having to do that. We'll hit her for the last times and finish up the fight. So now we are going to go on to our last world of the game, which is Hauntingham. And Hauntingham was originally named Spookington, but the routing that we have for this always starts out the same for every single category. 100%, all pages, all main levels, new game plus, and any percent. All those categories have to do the first 2 levels no matter what. But the routing that we do is a little bit different. Except for New Game Plus and all main levels that we do here, we just get the final page in each one of these levels. And if you listen in, you'll be able to hear the greatest voice acting ever. You see the residents of Hauntingham are ghosts, and they have some very unique voice acting, if I do say so. Alright, so this first level that we're going to be going into in Hauntingham is Carnival Court, and Carnival Court happens to be the most changed level out of the both of the games. In the original game, what you had to do is you had to find 3 ghost children and then save them, which in turn we actually just skip, and then you reunite them with their family. However, in this one, you have to find 3 tickets in order to get the final level, and it's a lot shorter of a level compared to the original game. And in this level, this is slowly becoming one of my favorite levels. If you play this casually, go into the chicken race. There is a race in here called that's a chicken race, that you race against a chicken, and that's all you do, and you get a ticket for winning against the chicken. And also in this level, we are going to be doing skip here to skip a dialogue box, and we also have a surprise guest that, if done correctly, we will see at the very end of this level. If not, we're going to be seeing him right here. Alright, so we're going to be seeing our special guests after this. So right here, we're going to jump into our boosters, and we're going to go over this way. Normally, what we have right here is one of those test your strength games, but it's blocked off by jinx blocks. So what we have to do is we have to bonk hop up top. Well, normally you would have to go on those bounce pads that you see down below, and then you're able to hit the switch up top to clear off the blocks, and then we can jump down below and actually ring the bell to get ourselves our ticket. So this route that we're going to be taking here was actually found by me because I found the 3 fastest tickets had nothing to do with going into any of the bonus games. So our next ticket we're going to get here is we're going to help this gypsy find her crystal ball, which is very unfortunate because who would ever steal the crystal balls on a gypsy? But we know, luckily for us, it's always hidden in the same spot, which is that one, that trash can right here. And since we're over here, we're going to go and we're going to get the bumper cars and gets our second ticket. So if you're counting, that will make, once we get the gypsy, her crystal ball, that will be our 3rd ticket that we need to collect. So the camera is going to go really wonky right here for some reason. It likes to. Nobody knows why. And we're going to go over this way and we're going to grab the gypsy, the crystal ball here. And luckily we can jump with this. So we're going to go all the way over this way, and we're just going to run here and dodge all the enemies. As long as I'm standing right here, we will not be getting hit. Now, once we jump down here, we're not going to be holding anything because we can actually do a camera glitch and soft launching in the game, which would require us to reset the level completely. So here we go. We're done with all 3 of our tickets, and we're going to go and we're going to meet our special guest. So can anybody guess what our special guest is? I bet nobody can. Here's our special guest. His name is Clive the Barker, or Clive Barker. That's why that first skip that we do there is actually called Clive skip. And if you don't know who Clive Barker is, he's a writer, producer, director, actor, songwriter, you name it, he's probably done it. And so that's Clive Barker. He's our second special guest, next to Octodad. So now we are done with Carnival Court, and then we are going to go on to my favorite level, which happens to be, I know I've said this a lot, but this is officially actually my favorite level in the entire game. And we have to go and we have to go into Terror Train, which is our last 2D level of the game. And it's very fast. It's just a lot of running forward. Oh, lucky. Then go up here, and then go into Terror Train. So as you saw, in this world, you only have 4 pages that you have to collect, and there's actually only 4 levels in this world. So as long as you get only the final page in this, then you will be fine. Here we go. This is another area where donations can be read because it's literally just running forward and doing nothing else. There's one tiny skip that we can do. Whew, that was close. Fine. Here's our skip. We just do a bonk hop over that, and then we finish up the level. Here's the end of the level. Screwed it up a little bit, but it's still a super fun level. jump straight up, and we can go. Now we go from that level into, well, another longer level, but it's more fun because we're going to be doing another sequence break as well as a out of bounds trick in this level. So this is probably our second most broken level. Normally what you have to do in this level, level's called Grave Awakening. What you have to do is you have to try and free everybody from the Jinx block curse. There's going to be a lot of Jinx blocks that are going to be forming, and you have to try and find a way around. And you have to use lanterns that allow for you to see invisible blocks that the ghosts have. And doing that, you will be going over to the right, then the middle, then the left. However, we're going to be doing it in a complete reverse order. By normally, you'll right away at the very beginning, you're going to be going over to the right, and you're going to be climbing up top and using the lantern for the first time. But instead, we're going to be going over to the left over here, where the torch is, and we're going to be doing a bonk hop up the wall and go up to where that skull is. So this is technically partially another skull bonk. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to bounce off of this guy, get up here, and then we're going to do a bonk hop up here out of bounds. Then we're going to go up here and dive all the way over here and in. So now we're going to go and we're going to hit all of these grave stones in the right order. You'll see little handles up above the gravestones, and that's the order that we have to hit them in, 1 through 5. So if you look in front of me right now, there is nothing there. Normally there's supposed to be a Jinx block there, but since we skipped the cutscene all the way over on the right for that dropping down, or right down below us, it's actually not there, and these ghosts will be pushing nothing. But now that we've completed this, the block is now there, which is good for us because we're going to be using it to get over here. So then we're going to go up here, get our second ghost by doing that, and then we're going to jump down. We have to hit these in a specific order. We're going to be hitting them in a specific order, so we try not to get hurt, because we're going to be using it to our advantage here. We're going to get up here. Then we're going to slide down here. And then we're going to go over here. There we go. So as you saw, normally you would get hit right there with the spike. Well, we did get hit, but you normally stop and get stunned. However, if you slide just right, you're able to slide over those spikes without stopping. So here's ghost number 2. He will always be ghost number 2. We don't have a different order for him. So we do this, and then we grab that for safety purposes. We're going to go down here, grab the lantern, and you're going to be seeing the lantern be used just this one time in this level, then one more time outside of the level. We're going to fall down here, we're going to go, and we're going to hit these guys. Jump over here, hit him, and then right here we're going to get major lag if it, yeah. So that lag will always happen, well, most of the time. The other couple of days ago I was able to not get lag, which was very good. So those ghosts will always be in the same position, and right here, we had the bee earlier. So what you can do with the bees is you can actually hit their stingers back at them, and thus killing them. So now we have all 3 of our ghosts, and this is ghost number 1 in spot, or ghost number 3 in spot number 1. And she's going to go and help her ghost friends. She's going to wonder why the box is not out of the way. And she's going to say, this is the only way that you do it. And she's going to go and she's going to hit the boxes forward, so we then in turn will be able to continue on. And there is the level done very quickly. Now we have one more level before we go into the final boss, Jinx, and that level is an auto-scrolling level. I need to watch myself very carefully on this level. We don't need to be collecting anything else. I just have to complete the level. And the reason I say I have to be very careful is I have notoriously died on this level before. Of all of the places to actually die multiple times on, it just happens to be the level right before the final boss. But I should be solid. And here's the invisible platforms being shown again. And we jump in, and this is where another donation could be read. I'm gonna try and focus, but the gimmick of this one is actually if you land on certain platforms in here, they will actually drop down below, and there's also spikes here. So I just have to make sure that I am very careful here. See, sometimes that can happen. Lucky just bounced off of absolutely nothing. We believe that sometimes you can bounce off of the coins after you pick them up, and I believe that's what I did. So here's where I need to be extra careful. Alright, you should be safe for the rest of the level here. And there we go. We have made it through that level. Pretty good. Now that we've done that, we are going to go on to our final boss, onto the final level and final boss, which is Jinx, which is the leader of the kitty litter. And he has the most RNG throughout the entire level, or throughout all of the levels. He has the most RNG, and there's a lot of explaining to do. But before any of that happens, we have a tradition when I play this game that this final cutscene I actually act out and do the voice acting for each time I play this game. So let's go. Lucky, over here.
Lucky, over here.
Lyra, I'm so glad to see you. How did you get into...
How'd you get into the book?
She didn't. Foolish child. Jinx, I've been waiting for you, Lucky Swifttail. I really must thank you. The book is finally mine! Alright, so the Jinx fight has multiple different phases to it. The first phase is sending out these lasers, these plasma blasts, and that is completely random as to where they'll go. That includes right below your feet, so when you're trying to dodge, you'll land down and you will get hurt. Then he sends out these eye lasers, that if you're far enough away, you only have to jump over them 1 or 2 instead of having to jump back and forth. So, like I said, we're just going to run all the way over here as far away as we can, and then jump over, so that's the second time, and then we don't have to worry about it again. And then he's going to, after he's done shooting those plasmas, he's going to bring the platforms back to normal. We're going to see if we can get the manipulation. No, we got the bad cycle again. And then he's going to raise these platforms. We have to jump on the heads of these ghosts. Then we're going to go down here and we're going to manipulate Jinx by making him chase us all the way over here. Then we're going to land on him 3 times. And then we're going to get back over here. That was lucky because normally we get shot forward. Now that we have that, we are going to run away again, but this time the eye lasers are shorter, so as long as you run really far away, we won't be able to hit you. So once again, we're going to do that. And then we have one more set of lasers that we have to dodge. That's unfortunate. There we go. Oh, I was wrong. We got 2 sets. So I'm still pretty far over. There we go. And then he's gonna spin it around again. We're gonna see if we can get the... Okay, that's really good. I like that being in the middle there. We're going to be killing the ghost off once again. So, what normally has to happen, I'm going to talk about this on the manipulation here again. What normally has to happen here is normally if you hit Jinx, well, you might be seeing it right here. He flies off the stage, and you're not able to, he has to fly back onto the stage. But if you hit him the 3 times, like I did the first time, it allows for you to completely skip him having to come back onto the stage. And then, this last phase is a little bit different by the purpose of, he raises up the platforms and he uses his eye lasers, and we just have to dodge them until he drops down here. He's going to turn everything, and then he's going to send out the plasma bolts as well as summoning the ghosts at the same time, but the ghosts will always be in the same area, so as long as you know where they're going to be, you can actually go below them and basically jump on their heads from down below. So right here, this is the only time that we aren't able to do the manipulation on him, because he's actually going to be sending out multiple forms of himself that we have to fight against. So there we go. We have one more hit on both of these. There we go. And the timing will end the second that I start going into the book. So timing begins in 3, 2, 1, and go. So that was Super Lucky's new Super Lucky's Tale, all main levels. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I hope that it's chosen for the marathon. I really love running this game, and the community has worked so hard to try and show off all these tricks. So I thank you for watching, and thank you again.